Okay, so recently I just spent a month traveling across US and Europe playing regional championships in Louisville, Lille, and Gdansk. So my journey started, I think it was the 11th of October, or it might have been the 10th. It was the day before. I think it was the 10th. It was the day before Louisville. It was the Friday. So I had a flight at 4 p.m. that left Sydney to go to Dallas. I wake up around like 8 a.m. I was gonna get to the airport maybe like 1 or something, but I hadn't packed or anything. I check my phone and it's delayed 3.5 hours. This happened at like 4:30 a.m. or something. I was asleep when it happened. Yeah, so I already missed my second flight, and I'm gonna have to fight to even catch the next flight. So I believe I was meant to arrive at 4, and then I ended up. I was scheduled to leave around 7:30. And the last possible flight I could catch on American, which was like the only one that actually had direct flights, was I think it was around 8:30. So at best, I had like an hour to work with maybe. It was not looking good. So even with that, I mean, realistically, I probably could rebook my flight because my original flight was like 6 p.m. out of Dallas or something, or 6:30. Realistically, I could get the 8:30 flight. It wouldn't be an issue. But with the delay, if anything else went wrong, this was looking bad. So I was pretty worried at this point. And, I just got to the airport early anyway. I have airport lounge access, so I'm just going to wait there if I have to. And whilst I'm waiting there, I get not one, but two more delays with 2 more hours just gone. So after that, I'm like now panicking. I'm looking for, it's like, okay, well, how do I get there? And if I don't get there, how do I get back on my trip? Because essentially how I book my flights is I book one round the world ticket and then I fill in the gaps with just other flights, smaller flights. But the problem is that since these flights are not connected to the round the world, if anything goes wrong on those flights, I have to pay my way to get back onto the other flights or leave myself enough room for error. And so with a massive delay, I'm here looking and I'm like, okay, well, I can either skip the event, get to the next part on the trip, or I could try to get to this event. So I ended up looking for some flights, and I ended up finding there was a 10:30 p.m. flight on Frontier that arrives at Cincinnati at 2 a.m. And then after that, I can get a 1.5 hour Uber to get to Louisville at 3:30 a.m. So after seeing all this, I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, this is quite costly. It's going to cost me about 450 USD, I want to say. I think it was about 450. But even for me to get back on track and skip the event, it was going to cost me at least 300 USD. So looking at that and looking at my options, I saw that and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to pay the money, get back on the trip. But instead of buying the ticket at first, I'm just like, I'm going to wait because if another delay happens or the flight just gets cancelled, I'm not going to be buying this ticket. So I'm just waiting here. And then we actually start to board and everything, which is great. So I finally get to board. I go and I start boarding. And in this specific area, out in, like, after I've boarded, there's no phone service. Well, this phone service was very limited. And now I'm like, oh, I need to book this flight, because if I don't book it now, I won't be able to book it online anymore, because I think I can only buy it online up to like 2 hours before. So I maybe could have gone away with that from when I landed, because I ended up landing around 8 p.m. But I didn't really want to risk that. I wanted to buy this flight. But somehow, I managed to buy it. The internet was so bad, I couldn't even load the webpage to confirm that I bought the flight. But I could use my email. So because emails use less internet, I ended up just checking my email after I got through the payment and everything to confirm that I indeed did manage to buy this Frontier flight. So all that, I finally get to leave. So we leave and we land. It was quite short. I think we were like an hour faster than normal. But of course, that only makes up 1 hour out of the 5.5 hours that were delayed. So after that, I end up landing. I already have my SIM card, everything pre-installed. I've prepared everything. I immediately, when I land, I check flight information for my flight. It is delayed. Again. So this is another, I think it was 2 hours of delays. So now I am arriving at 4 a.m. in Cincinnati, and then I'm going to need to collect my bag, then get a 1.5 hour Uber. So we're looking at maybe a 6 a.m. arrival at the venue. At this point, I'm quite worried because the amount of time that I actually have to play around with before I end up missing the tournament is not much. Like, was sleeping before the tournament, that's already gone out the window. But now I'm actually risking missing the tournament. Fortunately as well, like, security now was no longer an issue, but I was prepared. I downloaded the mobile passport control. I had everything set up. I ended up having to wait for 0 people in the American security queue. This is a first for me. Like, this will never happen again. Just rock up. There was no one there. I got through in like 2 minutes. Never again will I get through US customs that quickly. So, after this, I head to Frontier. I check my bag in. The queue is so long for security. I waited over an hour, I think, just to get into security. And it's at night. It was ridiculous. It was like 10 p.m. or something. Well, 9 p.m. It's just tons of people ready to leave Dallas. So I waited through there. I got in. And of course, by the time I get in, look at this. Another hour delay. So at this point, it's arriving at 5 a.m. So if it takes 30 minutes for me to get my bag, another 1.5 to get the flight, we're looking at a 7 a.m. arrival time. So now I'm like, okay, well, this flight, I just booked it. Now it better not be late. Because now I'm just losing so much money. And I'm not even going to get to play the tournament. So, fortunately, after this is where things turn around. So, the flight before, which was just another flight coming from Cincinnati to Dallas, actually takes off and lands. So at this point, I'm like shocked. I'm like, okay, well, do they actually have any stuff for this flight? Like, I wasn't sure. I couldn't find anything. We had to swap terminals in Dallas, and the shuttle was down, so we had to go and wait for a staff member to take us through a lift. Oh wait, sorry, an elevator. It's Australian slang, I think. I think it's Australian slang. I'm not sure. But then they had to take us all the way to the tarmac area to get a bus so we could get the shuttle to the other terminal where there's not even a mention of this flight. The reason that I did it was because whilst I was playing live, I heard them talk about a gate change, and I heard the terminal number to go to the other terminal. If I didn't hear that one announcement, I would have not known. So I am very fortunate that I was actually paying attention. But in the end, they end up bringing the flight forward 30 minutes, and then it ended up flying and everything. And I ended up arriving at Cincinnati at 4:40 a.m. And then, I get my bags, and then I Uber there. I arrive at Louisville at 6:35 a.m. So at this point, the people that I'm meant to be staying with, they just woke up. So they woke up, and I'm like, great, now I can get into the room. I get into the room, I get 15 minutes to just lie down. I can't even fall asleep in that time. And I get to shower and everything. And then I end up playing Uh, kind of a rogue deck. I played, like, I guess some of my friends have been playing Elite Cups. It's Palkia knocked out, but with Dusknoir. It's pretty similar to what Kamal ended up playing at that event. Kamal Crooks is like a pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh player. I'm not sure if anyone's really interested in the deck, and I'll just put it on screen anyway. But yeah, I'm not interested in the deck anymore. So going into the event, round one, I hit a cloth, and I honestly just played terribly. Since I have no clue what I'm doing against cloth, I was like, I was too scared of playing Terrapagos. I didn't bench it. Like, I didn't bench it early. I went for Palkia. I ended up not getting it an attack for like multiple turns as a result, and then I just lose. Where if I just went for Terrapagos, I probably would have won the game. So that was probably a bad idea. Uh, and then game two, I win, and game three, I just brick and lose. Like, fully brick. So I guess that's a loss. Probably my fault, though. I probably could have played around it. Round two, I hit Palkia Dusknoir, going second, which is terrible for me, since it's basically a coin flip matchup. Game one, I thought I had win. I'm like, okay, Nespal, Blood Moon, Absoluta, Thornton, Dusclops, use it, counter catcher, game, all that. Yeah, I forgot that I discarded Blood Moon in turn one, and I was way too tired to even bother checking. Like, I just assumed it was there. I'm like, yeah, look, I don't think it was prized, and I haven't discarded it. And then I look in my deck and it's not there, and I'm like, is it prized? And I look at my discard and I'm like, oh yeah, I discarded that turn one. So I end up just losing the game. Oh yeah, I also forgot that there was a Pokestop in play. I could have just Pokestopped and hit a Night Stretcher. Completely forgot. So I lost that game. I managed to win game two. And in game three, I Squawkabilly on turn one, and I forgot to play a supporter. Just straight up forgot. I was going second, and I just forgot. I guess it happens. I mean, I'm not sure what to expect when you have as little sleep as I had at this point. Because I was just, like, not bothering. Like, price checking, like, that's not real at this point. Like, I'm just focused on getting the cards out. Like, I'll check, like, a card here and there. It's like, okay, well, if I need this card, I'll check it. But I was not checking much at all. And then not only that, I'm just like, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't play a supporter for turn one. And then I play a supporter turn two and I don't really draw much. And then I just proceed to lose. Pretty avoidable loss, to be honest. I just played bad. So now we're 0-2. It was a pretty good start. Very good start to the trip. And then round three, it's another Palkia Dusknoir, and I lost the flip again. I don't even remember what happens in game one, but I lost. So wait, I actually not sure. I think I did lose game one, and then I won game two. In game three, all I remember was that I should have gone for Greninja, but instead I went for the Palkia knockout on their only Palkia, and then they just got Candy Ninja, KO my KO Pheasantipity, I think, or Terrapagos, one of the two. I couldn't do anything at that point. Like, I was in such a bad position at this point. And, like, I honestly can't believe that I let myself get in such a bad position like that. I should have just ninja'd. Like, the Palkia wasn't really a big threat anyway. So, because of that, I ended up losing. So then I went 0-3. First 0-3 in a long time. It was kind of disappointing, but it wasn't that crazy, considering how little sleep I got and how poorly I played in these games. Like, there were just so many errors. I did decide to just play it out at the end, because, I wanted the points. I'm like, I'm taking my points for the quarter or whatever to get Traveler. I ended up going 5-3 from there, which I need to win all 5 remaining games to get any points, so it's probably not worth it for me to play. I should have just dropped. But I did end up playing, and I did manage to win all remaining rounds, and I did walk away with 40 points. Basically using no thinking at all at this point. I'm just playing cards. But unfortunately, a lot of things went my way, and I did manage to win out. So, after that, there was a week, well, I guess almost a week until Lille. So I spent the few days down in Atlanta with my friend Aaron Palmer. Uh, yeah, over there, we didn't really do much. We kind of just hung out a bit. I got to hang around with her dog, Ruthie. Ruthie's a lovely dog, by the way. Absolutely lovely. And after that, on Friday, I would have a flight out, and I was gonna. Oh no, it was on Thursday, and I was gonna make my way to Paris. So because of how I booked my around the world, I could have chosen DC or Chicago as my place to go out, or Dallas, but I chose Chicago because I'm like, well, it's kind of the closest to Louisville. But then I ended up going and staying in Atlanta instead. So I had to fly from Atlanta to Chicago, and then I had to fly from Chicago to Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia to Paris, which is quite a lot. Where I should only be doing 2 flights, but because of how I book things, I ended up having to do 3 flights. I was quite worried though, because between the flight from Chicago to Philadelphia, I had a 1-hour layover, and if I missed that, I don't think there was a way to get there in time. Like, maybe I could have found a way to get to London, and then I would have to pay for a flight to Lille from London, or the train. That it would have cost a lot. But maybe I could have figured something out. But fortunately, no problems this time. Got to my flight. Went straight out and got to Paris. I did book a train in advance, and I did book it a little bit later, but it didn't really matter since from the time I landed, which was around 10:30, and the time of the train, which was around 1:30, since the train was landing around 3 p.m., I wouldn't be able to check into my hotel until then anyway. So I ended up meeting up with Kaiwan in Paris, since he was also hanging around Paris at the time, and we spoke in advance. We booked the same train ticket and everything. Not sure if the train ticket is by chance or anything, but we didn't book on the same ticket, and we got the seat next to each other. So I'm not sure if that's just because we checked in at the same time, or if we just got lucky. But then we ended up getting too confused and couldn't figure out which seats were ours anyway. So I ended up just sitting in a random carriage. So it didn't matter. But it was kind of funny to see that we got like a seat next to each other. But we'll never know if that was chance or if it was just because of us checking at the same time. So at this point of the event, we got to Lille and everything, and we're just waiting for James to arrive, but we're pretty set on running Reggie Drago for this event. Like, we chatted all week, and, Kyle was pretty set on Drago well before, and I only swapped, 3 days before. Well, I think James was also on Drago. The only question was what we were running in the list. In the end, we're kind of debating between something similar to Conti's. We would have played at least 59 cards out of Conti's, at least the Vessel, and then the other card, I don't know what we would have came up with. Could have been Gudra, Halucha, the Iono, could have been anything, to be honest. So, we weren't sure of that, compared to just running the 1-1 knockdown line. But Kai was saying that the knockdown was really good. He's like, trust me, it's really good and everything. I was like, I don't know, I haven't really used this ever. Like I played a couple games, I never used the card in my life online. And James was like, yeah, this card's kind of mid as well. But in the end, I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to run the knockdown. And James was just like, okay, well, if Brent's running knockdown, Cam's running knockdown, I'm running knockdown. So we all just end up playing the knockdown. During the event, first few rounds, immediately, I'm just going knockdown. Almost every single game, just knockdown. So I'm looking like, man, maybe this card is good. Even though, I never used it in practice. Never. Not once. And then now suddenly in the tournament, it's the MVP. I'm using it every game. And, yeah, I end up going 7-1 day 1 because I lose to a Claw. Pretty sure it's just because I play badly into Clef because I haven't practiced matchup. I think I'm meant to go into Clef and play a little bit slower. Instead, I attack, a turn too early, and then I just run out of resources. I think that's my problem. Or at least in those games. I don't remember. But I feel like both those games should have been very winnable, and I lost the set. I was very surprised when I got 2-0'd. But yeah, I do think it was just because I played poorly. So I ended up like 7-1 day one. Then day two, I ended up losing to a Gardevoir. I think again I played too aggressively. But also, his hands were so insane. I think even with the Clef, I think he still had a 3 prize turn on turn 2. It was ridiculous. So, but I didn't go for Clef. I went for the attack, and then my Drago just got obliterated. I think that was both games. So I'm not sure if I could have played that better. I think at least one of those games was probably a loss. The other game, I probably could have gone into Clef or something, and maybe changed the outcome. So I was very disappointed to start at 7-2 now. Now I had to win out for top card. Then I hit a Lugia. Game 1, they win coin flip. They get turn 2 boss, double Archeops. I'm just losing, basically. I'm not sure if I made a mistake or anything in the game. I think I just lost because their star was just too good. Game 2, I ended up winning, barely, I think, due to a temple and dodging like an Ultra Ball for boss. In Game 3, in Game 3, I just end up going Radiant Charizard Attach Pass. I end up bringing this game down really close, but I forgot about Ogerpon's Terror ability. I had a Teal Dance. I was holding the grass in case they would like boss something and stall it, and I could attach a tree. But it was like kind of not necessary because I think boss would have won them the game anyway. So I should have Teal Danced, and I forgot which card was on the top, because I remember that the temple was at least the top 2 out of the 4 cards, but I don't remember if it was the top 1 or the second card. But if I remembered and went for the Teal Dance and got the temple, I would have carried the Ogerpon beforehand and then had the win with Kyurem. But I ended up losing the game. After that, I ended up winning the next 2 and finishing top 32. But I was quite disappointed still. Like, it is nice to get the 1000, but I really want to make a deep run at one of these events. It has been a while for me. So, after that, I just have to go to the next one. But, both James and Cohen did make top 8. Well, James had to play asymmetrical for top 8. But they were basically streaming him every round. He beat Nico, and then he beat Nina, and then he hit Kaiwin in the 60 card mirror in top 8, and James ended up winning that. And then he beat Alberto Conti in semis, and then he beat Clement in finals. So I was barely cheering on James, only until finals. Like, I wasn't watching any of the other games, then finals happened, I'm like, okay, it's time to watch now. But I was, like, kind of paying attention, like, at certain points, because we had a bus that was leaving around, like, 4 to get back to Amsterdam, because I'm staying with James the 2 weeks afterwards. And with him getting deep runs, we were not getting that bus. So what ended up happening is we ended up having to cancel a bus, and we got a bus at like 8 p.m. And the 8 p.m. Bus, it got in quite late. I think we got back to James' place in Utrecht around like 1, I want to say. 1 a.m. But in the end, James did win the tournament. It was really good for James. James has never won an event in Masters before. It was kind of funny because someone in his YouTube kept talking about that. Like, he's top 4 Worlds, which was a lot harder than winning a Regionals. But he's never won a tournament in Masters, at least. So, it's good for him to at least see that he has won a tournament now. And so I'm very happy for James. So we made our way back to the Netherlands. I spent 2 weeks there with James and his family. Kaiwin showed up like a week in. We did some things. I won't really go over it, but we did some things. And then after that was Gdansk. My flight was really late. So my flight, I booked my flight to match James, but James's flight was really late because he had uni that day. And we had the last flight out, so I'm here yet again with basically no backup plan and hoping, and I'm like, please, this flight better go off. And it's pretty late, so if it's delayed too long, we might hit curfew and the flight might not go. So I was really worried. But fortunately, the flight did go through. However, we still, we landed around 10:40. Took ages for the bags to arrive. Oh, my bag at least, because James didn't bring any checked bag. And then we got to the room and everything around like 11:45 maybe p.m. And then I think we didn't go to sleep until like 1. But we were just sending the same list as the previous week. I don't remember how many games we played in this time period as well. It was not much. Like I don't think it was that many games. So I knew like we were all just playing the same deck list and just hoping for the best. So on day 1 here, I ended up tying to a Raging Bolt. I misplayed. My damage, like, I didn't put any damage on the Luminion, which was really dumb because I did 200 to Ogerpon with Phantom Dive. And without putting damage on the Luminion, it meant that after they retreated the Ogerpon and passed, I couldn't set up for an attack plus a Cure in play. And I didn't have any boss or Prime Catcher left since I had to V-Star and I lost, like, all my resources. So because of this, I ended up missing out on setting up a win. If they actually saw the right play, they would have avoided losing the game. But they would have to realize that they would have to burn the Prime to use the Switch card to get the win. But if I just put the damage correctly, in fact, like, I think I put damage on, like, the other Pokemon. If I just started throwing a lot of damage on the Luminion, this just wouldn't have been a problem, and I would have been able to set up for the win. So this was a massive throw. I could have easily won this round, and I'm losing. Oh, I'm not losing, tying. Then the next round, I hit Hermione. He's on Terrapagos. I lose the coin flip. My Drago dies. Turn 2 in game 1. Game's looking really bad. Even game 2 was looking pretty bad. I did not set up at all. But he prized Pidgey or Pidgeot. And he ended up bricking in the mid-game. And I managed to get 2 Dragapult attacks without getting attacked in between. And I managed to just take like 6 prize cards, just like that. So I was pretty fortunate to end up winning game 2. Game 3, I don't remember what happened. I believe my hand was bad. I don't remember though. But I did think. Oh no, I don't think it was bad. I think it was a choice between Iono and Research. And I used Research because he didn't bench Terrapagos on one. And I'm thinking, well, he probably doesn't have the Terrapagos. And then in hand he has Candy Pidgeot instead. And then searches for the Terrapagos, of course. And then we end up getting to a situation where I'm basically in a situation where there's a good chance he wins in 2 turns. There's 2 turns left with the end of time. And I'm thinking, okay, this is impossible. So yeah, my turn happens and I'm just like, okay, well he better not have like, he better not have boss in particular, because if it's prime, there's a chance that I can win because the boss is a lot harder to use. Like I might be able to get a prime Iono stadium bump the next time and then stall for the tie. But what ends up happening is, he prized both prime and boss and went for Dusknoir and missed the prime. Well, if he got the boss, it would have been really bad for me still. But by missing the prime, he didn't have an immediate win because he had the Briar. So I was really fortunate on that. But then also, it's kind of sad that because he prized both of them, I was going to win that game. If I had like an extra turn, I would win the game. But we ended up tying that. And then I ended up winning the next 2 rounds, going 6-0-2. I didn't ID at 5-0-2. At the craziest game, I was against Gabor. He was playing Snorlax without Rotom. I'm full bricking. I did nothing. Like the best I did this game was I attacked with Ogerpon, turn 2 and knocked out a Snorlax. After that, I was doing nothing the entire game, just fully bricked. This was like 6-7 turns. But then, what ends up happening is he plays Chorus's Experimentation, and all he has is 2 Mimikyus in play. And after this, I forgot about Kira. I just completely forgot about it. I had a win and everything. But then, next turn he goes Ericus. There's a Radiant Charizard. there's an Ogre there's a Kyurem. I have an energy and an energy switch in hand, and I have energies on my board and everything. And he looks at it, and for some reason, he chooses the Ogre instead of the Radiant Charizard. And then the next time, I'm like, oh, well, now I see it. Now that you looked at my hand, I've definitely been reminded. I can just go bench Kyurem, attach, retreat, energy switch, and then use Kyurem to knock out all his 2 Mimikyus. Which even after he saw my hand, he still didn't bench Steelix because he didn't see the play. So I managed to scam a completely unwinnable game. And then game 2, I just draw like a really good start, and I just completely obliterate him. So I ended up winning and finishing 6-0-2. So it's not as good as 7-1, but at least I can go 3-0-1 instead of 3-1. Well, instead of like 4-0, I mean, to get into top cut. So it could be worse. So with that, went back to the room, slept. Oh, I think we got food. We got kebabs or something in the old town. I think that's what happened. I forgot, to be honest. And then the next day, we went back to the venue to play, all 3 of us, in day 2 again. James and Kyle were both 7-1. I was 6-0-2. What ended up happening is I hit a Terrapagos round 1. I fully brick, and I ended up winning the game because they pitch it for knocked out and use it without a Terra Pokemon because I knocked out their only Terrapagos. So I ended up winning the game, even though it was like very unwinnable because I had nothing on the first turn. I didn't have, like, on turn 2 I got the Drago, but I didn't have the energy on it. I couldn't attack until they got to 2 prize cards where I could finally attack with Radiant Charizard. But that plus Iron, that was pretty good. That got them good, apparently. Just for them searching knocked out on top of that was enough. The next round, I hit James. So, in this round, Drago Mirror's pretty long. I think game 1 was like 25 minutes. Game 2, he definitely should have scooped, but he didn't. And game 3 ended up being a tie. I think there were some avenues for me to win. It mostly involved him deciding if he wanted to V-Star to try and speed up the game for the clock or pass the turn, but he decided to pass, and with the pass there, I could not win, realistically. I could do some things like I was boss stalling and stuff, but I did not have access to a Drago attack for the entire game, basically. So that was not going very well. And there were times where I could have attacked, but I think it was unwinnable at that point, so I just had to play for the tie. So I ended up getting the tie, which I feel kind of bad for it, but I've told him in the past that I wasn't going to play fast to not tie against him. But I wasn't playing slow or anything. So then after that, I ended up hitting a Snorlax again without any... without Rotom again. These were like the worst bricks I've ever seen. I couldn't attack with Drago in like both games. I think in game 1 I got to use Switch when I had like 6 cards in deck and attack. And then the only reason I didn't win was because so I think actually I gotta correct that. I think I had to V-Star for the Switch. I'm pretty sure I didn't get to use the Switch. And the only way I didn't win that, or the only reason I didn't win that game was because I didn't unprize Prime Catcher. Where if I unprized it, I'm pretty sure I would have won. And so that was somehow a really close game. And then game 2, they only got 1 Snorlax on turn 1. I had energy on Drago, energy on Ogerpon, attachment for turn. No attachment for turn, my bad. And I V-Star with Dragapult in hand, and I'm just here thinking, I just didn't hit Vessel, E-Switch to win. Or if I hit at least Research to E-Switch, I'm probably good to go as well. Or even just like Research Energy, I might hit the E-Switch off that. And I'm willing to just play this, try to win turn 2, and then play game 3. No Supporter, no Vessel. I did hit E-Switch though. But I have to take the Grass Energy and hope that the Grass Energy draws me some way to discard the Dragapult. And actually, I need to draw an Energy as well. But to be fair, I think every card that discards the Dragapult would draw me cards in some form. Like, I could either get Ultra Ball for the Mew, vessel for game or research, which would probably give me game. Yeah, so I ended up missing the attack for the next 15 turns, and I kind of just lost the game. And that was me out of contention for top cut again. Really sad. Very devastating to go down like that. And then the final round, I hit a Lugia. Ended up winning because they just couldn't get 2 Archeops in game 3. So that was really nice. Ended up getting top 32 again, but still pretty disappointed. So after that, I was not looking forward to the journey home. I'm there. I was out with everyone, went to dinner. I went around, saw some place in the old town, went on the Ferris wheel. Yeah, so my path home. My path home was catch a train at 6 a.m., Gdansk to Warsaw. It's like 3.5 hours. Then I would just catch the train from there to the airport. Another 40 minutes, plus I ended up waiting like 20 minutes for that. I think it was 20 minutes plus 25 minutes, so it was like 45 minutes. Then at 10:15 at the airport, I gotta wait 3 hours, 15 minutes until my flight. Pretty simple. I got the really early train because it was really cheap, and I'm like, may as well save a little bit of money. I'm probably gonna be tired anyway. Like, I'm not gonna spend like triple the price just to get up at 7 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna get up at 6 a.m. So like, I ended up getting up at like 4 a.m. whatever, getting ready, everything. And the reason I was up at 4 a.m. was because we had Aiden Coos and Michael Davidson were just playtesting in the room against Kaiwan whilst I was sleeping. They just like stayed up the entire night. And I was just asleep for like 4 hours. And when they woke up, I'm like, are you guys sleeping already? And they're like, yeah, it's 4 a.m. And I'm like, oh, really? I just completely slept through it. So I ended up waking up. And by the way, I got like sick between Friday and Saturday. I think James was slightly sick, I'm not sure. And then I got sick. And yeah, so being sick when you're flying is kind of miserable. So I had to go through all this travel, all while sick. It's not something I haven't done before, I've done it many times, but it's painful, it's definitely painful. So, I got I got all the way to Warsaw, I got all the way there. I got to the gate, like, maybe, like, a little bit over... Well, I got through security with a little bit over 2 hours. And then then after that, I just waited. I waited in the lounge for, like, 2 hours. Took my flight to Dubai. Had some really nice food in the first-class lounge in Dubai. So it's kind of nice, since I haven't been to Dubai in a long time. It was the first time I ever got to use the lounge there. So I was kind of excited for that. But what I was not excited for was this 14-hour flight afterwards. So I had a 14-hour flight at 2 a.m. local time in Dubai. This is after going 6 a.m. wake up, 3.5 hour train, like 45 minutes on the train, leaving 1:30. So I was already up 7.5 hours. Then I had the 5-hour flight, 5 or 6 hours. I thought it was 8 hours at first, but it was only 5 or 6. And then I got to Dubai, and then I had a 4-hour layover in Dubai, and then I had a 14-hour flight to Sydney before getting picked up to get home. But at that point, that was everything for the trip. And yeah, it was kind of disappointing in a lot of ways. Like, this is the worst that I've done at multiple events in a row. I don't think I've ever done worse than... Like, every single time that I've done at least 2 events, I've cut before this. So now, like, I've done 1 event at a time twice, and those did not go well. I mean, mostly it's just NA. I'm doing really badly in NA. Usually Europe's fine for me, but NA for some reason. I mean, maybe it's because I don't play Drago enough. So, like, I guess I just gotta play Drago or something, and maybe that works out. And it's not just Drago, it's just, like, if I play, like, a deck that's, like, really well-rounded, I think that's what's best for me in NA, because everything else doesn't seem to be working for me. So, overall, the trip was quite fun, but was very disappointing and very expensive. And I'm going, like, negative maybe, like, 2,500, 3,000 US. I think it's like 2,500 though. Yeah, so money down the drain. It was gone, but I'll either win it back or, there's other ways to make money. It's fine. So it's all good, but but it is very disappointing to do that poorly at so many events this season, because now I've only gone 2 top 32s from 4 regionals. So this is a very poor season compared to last season. At this point, I had a top 8 and 2 top 32s. But I mean, I definitely think the tournament structure is not helping. But yeah, I just don't think I'm playing that well in a lot of ways. And yeah, I guess it's a little bit tougher as well. And yeah, the tournament structure is definitely not as forgiving. So what's next from this is I have LAIC. So from the day I'm recording this and posting it, it's I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'll be gone for another 4 weeks, well 3 weeks, and then I go LAIC, Sacramento, Stuttgart, and then I go home for like 2 days, and then I go to Perth. So yeah, I'm going around the world again in the next 4 weeks. So that'll be fun or exhausting or both. I'll see. And it's expensive, but maybe we could win, maybe we could lose. This game basically gambling when you play tournaments. So, but I am excited. So, yeah, like I really do just want to see though, like I want to see what people think about this kind of content. So let me know in the comments what you liked about this video. And yeah, I think that's about it. I guess I'll see you next time. I'll probably try to do something like this if it has good feedback. Maybe I'll come up with some other video. I'm not sure. I'm not really a frequent poster, but one day maybe I'll be frequently posting. Anyway, that's all.